Hey, it's Nathan from Vero Media. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing good. We're going to be doing a breakdown on how we're able to put together a cycling cinematic commercial for a company called NeoPro. This was a spec project because we're looking to move in this space. However, we needed to showcase that we were able to do the work. So we built out the project, rounded up the troops, and we made it happen. And now we have a really dope project that reflects some of our best work. So this is going to be a 4-part series. The first one is going to be pre-production. The second episode, we're going to be getting into production. The third episode, we're going to talk about post-production. And then the fourth episode is going to show a full BTS breakdown of how we created this whole project. So this is a masterclass on how to put together a cinematic commercial. Pre-production is one of the most important steps you can do to ensure that you have success in your production. It includes all the planning, preparation that goes into making sure that things go smoothly on set. So do not tread lightly on something like this. Make sure that you put everything you can into pre-production because it will help you on set and future you will thank yourself. When it comes down to commercial projects, it's not just about the idea, it's how you plan it. If you're going to be communicating with other people on set, they need to understand the angle that you're coming from. They need to understand what you have in your mind. So putting it on paper per se is going to help you do a better job of communicating with your crew and also being clear on the ideas that you had maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, depending on when the project takes place. A treatment is a visual document that the director typically puts together to convey the mood, theme, goals of the project. This is usually sent to the client and it can also be used internally with your team. Our treatment was really integral to putting together this project because it basically took the idea that I originally had and put it on paper. So we went in details from the mood, the color palettes that we wanted on set, to the goal of this project, what we were looking to achieve, and the baseline story. Now, before my script was even written, we started with this treatment, and this served as the basis of what the project was going to look like. So be sure to take time to put together a really nice treatment, especially if this is for a client. You want to be clear on the goals and what the project is going to look like and give them an idea of how it's going to feel before you ever get on set, because they're going to trust your vision a lot more. You can also consult on how it should look and feel and see if it aligns with their brand. But most importantly, everyone is going to be aligned on the idea that you have. For our treatment, we use Canva. I use a template that I got off Canva and I just swap it out for the different companies that we work with. And it's so efficient and really easy to use. I suggest using Canva. Quick disclaimer, I'm going to be talking about all the different programs that we use to put this project together, as well as the gear that we used. None of this is sponsored. I'm just here to help you guys. Once we had our treatment created, it was time to get going on the script. Now, this is super important because this was a narrated commercial. Our subject actually was voiceovering the commercial, so we needed to figure out what he was going to say. This process was very interesting because you're writing from the perspective of somebody else. So to do this, I had to almost get into the mind of the subject. In our case, our cyclist is not an athlete. He is just somebody that enjoys cycling. When creating the script, I had to really think about what are his wants, what are his goals, why does he go so hard in cycling? And when I got a rough draft of the script, I sent it over to him to get his opinion on it. Luckily, he really liked the script and aligned with him. It's really important that if you're doing a scripted commercial based on somebody's actual life, that you get their account on the accuracy of your script. You don't want somebody feeling uncomfortable or feeling like they don't align with the script because you won't get their best performance. So make sure you try and align as much as you can with the subject if you're doing a narrative commercial based on somebody's life. After we put together our treatment and our script, it was time to get into the most crucial part, our storyboarding, our shot list, and our shot references. This process took the longest out of everything. It took time to think about how we wanted to convey the story that was in the treatment and the script. What times of day made the most sense? How did we want to shoot it to convey the mood that we were going for? So we started off with the shot list. This shot list was created using Google Docs. I kept our shot list pretty simple. It had the scene, the shot, the comments, and a little checkbox section. This is everything I needed on set to make sure we're nailing what we planned and we're getting those shots. So putting this thing together started off with going through the script and thinking about how can we convey what the person is saying? How can we convey the mood that they're feeling? So from there, I just went line by line on the script and thought about different unique shots that we could put together that would help convey that. When putting together a shot list, sometimes it's a little hard to think about how your final project is going to look without having seen it. One thing that I recommend is looking at different shot references. On this project, I use FrameSet. It's a database of various shots from commercials and movie productions that can really help you dial in the looks that you're looking for. It helps you find the correct shots that you're looking for and the moods that you're looking for. And it's really helpful. I also use it on my treatments. So FrameSet can be organized by searching. It can be organized by color and mood palettes. You can literally search in something like cycling medium shot, get a bunch of different shots and angles that look exactly the way you want it so that you can get accurate ideas of how you want your project to look. So this is something that I use for reference as I was creating my shot list. From there, I created a storyboard. Now, sometimes people like to storyboard beforehand, but I really wanted to make sure that I nailed every single shot. So after creating the script, we made a storyboard. Now this was fairly easy using FrameSet, and since I already had my shot list, it was a matter of just finding shots that aligned with it. And you can have fun with this. You can make it as cool or as simple as you want. I use the storyboard on set to get a quick visual glance of how things should be looking, but usually I'm using my shot list because it's so concrete. This is another really important part to putting together a great commercial or great film. You want to get a sense of what the space is going to look like before production date. The last thing you want is you get on set and you're now figuring out there's a ton of sunlight coming in that may disrupt your shot, or there is no sunlight for a shot that you wanted sunlight for, or there's no outlets. A lot of surprises can happen on set, and the whole process of pre-production is to help minimize the amount of issues that may pop up. Here's a couple of things you want to think about when doing location scouting. Does the space actually match what you scripted? From a color and aesthetic standpoint, are there set deck that needs to happen? You need to have a good idea of how the space fits in the script. And if it's not the right fit, you probably want to pass and find something else that does work. The next thing is, where's the sun in relation to how you're going to be shooting? For us, we had a ton of sunlight to deal with, but luckily the space that we were working in had blinds that we can help control the light, as well as we brought equipment to help control using negative fill and things of that nature. For the lake scenes, the sun was going to be very harsh based on the timing that we wanted to shoot, and it was going to be backlighting our subject. Ideally, we would have liked to have the sun facing the water so that we could shoot the back of the subject and show the sunset, but that wasn't the case, and it didn't work with the script in terms of where we wanted the sun to be. So we used an app called Sunseeker. This is how we were able to know exactly where the sun was going to be for the days that we were planning on shooting. It's a great app that can help you easily pinpoint where the sun is going to be for any date that you put, and that way you can plan around it. So our solution to the sun being very harsh and backlighting our subject very harshly was we used a 5-in-1 diffuser to diffuse that light and create a nice soft highlight on the subject. The next thing you want to think about, is there enough space to store your equipment or set up equipment? When you're working on a production, especially a commercial production, there is a lot of equipment involved. Is there an area to store all the equipment? Does it have to stay in your van? If it stays in your van, what's parking like? These are all things you want to think about. Also, when you're in a space, if you're shooting indoors or outdoors, is there outlets? A great website that we used to help location scout was Gigster. I recommend Gigster because it's made for production. So for us in particular, we needed a house. So Airbnb wasn't going to work because of the way the pricing was working. They were looking for us to book for full day stays, and we would technically have to book for 2 nights, even though we only needed it for a couple hours. So it's a really good idea to utilize websites that are made for production. So after you've scripted everything, you've location scouted, it's time to think about aligning your crew. The biggest part to making sure that you have a successful production is having the right crew involved. And that means getting the right people in the right roles. Luckily, I had a great group of crew. I work with these people very often. They're great friends of mine. And so everyone was really excited to be a part of this production. And it really helped with the synchronicity on set and the coordination once we did get on set. It's really important to know the strengths of your crew members and put them in the positions that are going to help them excel. You want people that are better than you in what they do. So if you're great at being a DP, amazing. Get yourself a gaffer that's even better than you, that can light things and give you advice and tips on how to make your production even better. A lot of times in cinematography and video production, we're so used to being one-man bands. We can do everything because that's the way we learned. But when you give up some of that control and trust your crew members and let them excel, you're really able to make something beautiful. You're able to make stunning images and great stories if you just give some trust and control to others. So I would say put the right people in position and know their strengths so that you can get the best out of them. After picking out the crew that I wanted and getting them on board, we had to put together a call sheet. Now, this production took 2 days. We needed to know who we needed, on what days, where, and what time. So this is all gonna help with your organization, making sure everyone is synced on what they should be doing and when. It also helped plan the schedule of how the day was gonna look. Who needs to be on set for what days and what time slots. And if you're able to cut costs by letting somebody go home a little earlier just because they may not necessarily be needed a little later in the production, then you're able to save costs that way as well. The call sheet is so important to align with your script. You'll know what times you need to shoot certain scenes based on if it's set to be at daytime or nighttime. It also helps with aligning the schedules of everybody and making sure that people aren't there longer than they need to be, and making sure that you save on budget costs. Some of the pre-production issues we ran into were scheduling. It was very difficult to get everyone to align on a time and date just because everyone's schedule is so busy. I asked everyone to do this as a favor because this was a spec project. We paid everything out of pocket, so we had to be as accommodating as possible. In the case that you have a client that needs a project done and you need your crew members, you're gonna have to pick days that work for your crew member or find people that can align with the timing. Second issue we ran into was finding a house location. We actually ended up finding the location 3 days before the production, which was very stressful. It was almost every day we were looking on Gigster and Airbnb and Peerspace to find a location that would work. A lot of the spaces were already booked, or they were on vacation, or they had family. It was very difficult to find a space, but we're so thankful for the space that we ended up working at. The family was really nice and they were very accommodating, so we're very happy, and it also worked perfectly for what we were looking for. The other issue we ran into was weather restrictions. The day we were shooting outside was supposed to rain a lot, and luckily we just got spared. We had some light drizzles while we were shooting inside. So again, when it comes down to location scouting, it's so important to try and check the weather as much as possible, the sun, because if you're shooting outside, it can be very hard to make it work. That is a wrap on episode number 1 of putting together a narrative commercial. On episode number 2, we're going to be talking about production. So I'll see you there. I hope you enjoyed and found value. Feel free to hit the like, subscribe button, put on the bell notifications, do what you need to do. And if you like this type of content, we'll be putting out a lot of behind the scenes and explainer videos on this stuff. So we'll see you on the next one.